Good evening, welcome to the Dugout. And then there were four. After, what day did it start?
Feb 7th, if memory serves me right.
7th?
Yeah.
From 7th of Feb to now that we are on 2nd of March, less than a month. And in fact, quite less than a month because it was 28 days in Feb itself. So effectively, about 3 weeks, a little more than 3 weeks later, from 20 teams, we are down to the final four. Did anyone predict these four? What were your predictions?
No, I didn't have these four. I did have Sri Lanka. I had Sri Lanka. I didn't have New Zealand, I remember.
Okay, so
I had Australia as well, and I
so
didn't
you had
have.
too many this thing.
Yeah.
So what were your
There's
four?
only two teams
So
eventually.
you had India, Australia, Sri Lanka.
And I think I had South Africa.
So basically you got 2 out of 4.
2 out of 4.
2 out of 4. Okay.
This is also, by the way, after you'd seen a couple of those upsets happen, and let's say that's Sri Lanka win against Australia also, and that time I became very bullish about Sri Lanka. So yeah, even at that point, I was very confident I'll get at least all 4 right.
I think I got all 4 right. I remember India, South Africa picking from this side. That was evident. I remember picking England. I'm not sure if I picked New Zealand. That's my only one. I had said England will squeak through because I expected that Sri Lanka will dip off.
So you check that. For now, I'm going to keep it. If you
3
have
out
a
of
doubt,
4.
3
Yeah,
out.
let me just check that. I can go back.
I also got 3 out of 4. The only one that's missing, I hadn't picked England actually. I'd picked New Zealand. So I'd picked New Zealand, Sri Lanka from there. And of course India, South Africa from here. So, which I think majority would have picked India, South Africa from this half.
From this side, yeah.
I didn't pick Australia. But there I thought Sri Lanka would do it. But I think our predictions were even before that Sri Lanka-Australia game. I had thought that because I in home conditions,
it was
good
primarily,
spinners.
in fact, I was thinking that these guys really are prospering in home conditions, and they've got a decent run to go forward as well in these home conditions. They should ideally have. Sri Lanka have let themselves down, yeah.
Yeah, but eventually they finished last actually in the team.
Yeah, and
Not
the
let
way
them,
that
so they
they
lost that game also to Pakistan. Pakistan finished higher than.
Yes, that.
So
No,
it's not that they narrowly missed out or anything.
absolutely. The way that they played against England, again, no host nation should be playing like that. Simply
No wonder Jaisura resigned.
disappointed.
Resigned, not disappointed. He
And
resigned as coach.
Yeah.
He said, "This is it. This is the end. My only friend, the end." So
What's even funnier is that he'd apparently said that in the PC without telling it to anyone in Sri Lanka cricket. Later on, people in Sri Lanka cricket were like, no, we didn't know this was going to happen.
but that's okay with retirements, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in the sense you can retire without telling the board that I'm done.
Sure, but he's not exactly, he's resigning technically.
He's resigning. So then you can do that.
Or you usually
can.
want to have a conversation.
Better than MS Dhoni, who did the press conference
And then
and then told the BCCI, and then the
release
came 1 hour after the press conference. He could have announced it. Now that's what press conferences
Or
are
let's
for.
say like Ash Anna gave us a little hint when he was hugging.
That everyone knows. But you got a hint, but at least he did it. He
In
came
the
to
PC.
press conference and he announced it. Na?
Can you imagine if the PC was done, he didn't join Rohit, and then an hour later you're getting R. Ashwin retires from Test cricket? That would have been bizarre.
Yeah. Anyway, 4 teams here. I'm guessing a lot of you would have got all right because this has not been a shocker as such. Quite logically, a lot of you would have picked. I think India, South Africa, I'm guessing 8 out of 10 people would have picked from this side. Unless your name is Mohammad Amir, I think he was the only one who wasn't keen that India make it or was predicting India doesn't make it. Other than that, most people had. But I remember a lot of people had picked West Indies as well. So
I remember I was
gotten
also
wrong.
very 50-50 between West Indies and South Africa. Because West Indies, the way that they played their group matches that beaten England as well, you felt like they had their flair. India, the no conditions, 2016, we had a good campaign. Things were looking good at that time. But yeah, just between them and South Africa, Had to give the edge
In
to South
fact,
Africa.
as South Africa, who are looking like now title favorites, I know a lot of people didn't pick them to go through the first round as well.
Which I didn't understand.
They were with Afghanistan, New Zealand, and South Africa. But there were people who thought South Africa can miss out. And I'm not saying it was like a shocker. Yes, I picked South Africa, you picked. But if somebody told me, I wouldn't say you're out of your mind. I think there was a reasonable chance that they could have been eliminated at that stage. Anyway, they're here in semi-final. What we're going to do today is try and pick who we think are the favorites to win the title. We'll try and pick who we think can make it to the finals, 2 best teams, and then who we think are looking like the team that have the least of troubles and have most things sorted and they can go through. Before we get to that, while other teams are thinking about winning and what to do,
Teams eliminated are also thinking.
They are not thinking.
No, teams eliminated are also thinking.
They are not thinking. The teams are not thinking.
The
boards are thinking.
Boards are thinking. Players
Teams are thinking, why did we ever choose cricket? They are thinking that. Why did we have to choose a profession like
They're doing
cricket?
number crunching right now.
So for those of you who don't know, there was a report on Express Sport, which is a Pakistani media house, which suggested that PCB is thinking of fining the players for underperforming, roughly in the tune of, I think, 40 lakh Pakistani, which is about 15 lakh Indian rupees.
16.45.
Yeah, 15, 16 lakh Indian rupees each player. So I've heard of teams getting like cash rewards, and then I've heard of situations where teams don't get a cash reward. This is the very first time where teams are asked that you will have to pay a penalty for this sort of a performance.
I think,
can you think of any other?
I think I know where this came from.
Where did this happen?
I think this inspiration came from remember the Bangladesh stand-in guy had said, Nazmul Islam, I think. He'd said that we'll be fining the players for all the underperformance that has happened, etc., etc. And then he got ousted.
But that was still a threat.
Yeah,
no one really
went. I'm just saying they got inspired from that.
They're like, I want some of that action.
Yeah, like let's see how this works.
Blame it on Nazmul.
Nazmul.
He's the one. And he's out anyway.
No, then they brought him back. They brought him back after the boycott was done. So I don't quite know what was going on there. They brought him back. So
anyway, but yeah, have you seen on any sport it actually happened? I can't think of it.
I mean, in football, I've heard of players get fined if they turn up late for training too often or something.
That's another.
But not underperformance for crying out
disciplinary,
loud.
For underperforming.
Underperforming, no.
I mean, the worst I've heard is like players getting sacked or asked to retire and things like that.
Or like their contracts being terminated, so you pay them off.
Or worse than this, players are being shot as well.
Escobar.
Shot dead. But then that has not been an action taken by the government or, for that matter, the association.
Yeah.
Those are rogue fans, right? That have done it.
Cartel members.
Yeah, the Colombian cartel, of course. Because they must have bet a lot of money and then they lost that money, so they took it out on somebody. But no, so that has happened, but I can't think of any association.
But not for football, I mean. Because Mexico is going to be hosting. I'm just saying it had nothing to do with football. It's just the authorities actually managed to get a.
We're just, I think, entertaining times ahead.
Oh, yeah.
No, but as I said, those things apart, those stray incidents apart, and that is also always happened from the outside, things that are uncontrollable, like a gangster or a cartel doing something, the association has nothing to do with it. But I've never heard of an association. Again, I know of this, that you've had a situation where teams haven't been paid their money. That also I know. Not that they've been fined, but because you've run out of funds and association. It's happened in India also in lesser known sports where players haven't been paid for a very long time, and those things have happened. In Pakistan, quite recently, you had a situation where the hockey team didn't have any money. They had to be, in fact, that reminds me, one of their content creators, the clips keep coming, and he said after Pakistan, I think he's the one who gave the idea. He went on a rant, as always, saying that the way they have performed, they should be treated like our hockey team. They should be made to sit out of the hotel and clean their own utensils and wash their own clothes, because that is what they deserve. after Pakistan got knocked
Of
out.
course.
So I think from there they took it. That's it. Now that we've already paid for their hotels and they've even landed back. Now what do?
Fine.
Let's fine them. 16 lakhs. So it's never happened before in sport where you are actually fining the players. I can't think of. But what do you make of whoever came up with the genius idea? Mohsin Naqvi?
Seems like something he would just think of and be like, I'm such a genius.
But I still want to know, is it confirmed? Because there's only one media.
It's all
outlet.
source based.
It is now more. Even Bradman's talking about it now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then it's got a certain degree of, certain degree of credibility.
Legitimacy, let's say.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
actually going to be finding
Yeah,
them. No, because I saw that report and I saw it early in the morning and I was like, it is one media outlet. Sometimes there's a lot of kite flying.
Yeah.
But now that majority websites are reporting, even credible ones, as Harshit is pointing out, that means there is still a thought. See, though it's not happened, there is a possibility that...
In fact, that credible website says PCB fines.
So since
already
the fine's
fine.
been done.
Yes.
That's in fact what Express
18,000
Sports said
USD.
also.
So how will the fine have? They won't get the match fee. I'm guessing that, right?
Possibly that.
But would the match fee be so high anyway? Across all these matches, perhaps you could arrive
No,
at this
you may be
number.
giving them match fees. You don't give them on a daily
Daily,
basis.
yeah,
Right? So
accrued.
let's say the next sum that is going to go to them, they're going to cut it
In
and
fact,
then
confirmed.
it's confirmed. Unbelievable, yeah.
Confirmed. All of Pakistan squad members of the T20
This is,
World
by
Cup.
the way, can I be, we saw Pakistan play. We criticized them for their performance, and a lot of Indians celebrated when Pakistan got knocked out. There is that animosity, there is that rivalry. So you know that same would have happened in Pakistan if India not made it. They already, a lot of their former players are saying so. But despite that, I'll have to say that no matter how much you want India to beat Pakistan, no matter how much as an Indian fan you wanted Pakistan to miss out on the semi-final, I'll still say that this is rather unfair to any player. I think this is, and if you're a sport fan anywhere or a journalist or anyone, I think it's time that you side by the players, because no player, as bad as Pakistan were in this tournament, deserves to be fined like that. I think this needs to be called out, because then this will embolden a lot of other associations going forward. Anyway, players are now at the mercy of associations and boards, and if this is allowed, see, the one way is we can all sit and laugh at it and look at the state of Pakistan cricket. But the other thing is, if you just look at it as a sport, and each sports person I think deserves respect, especially the one that has played for the country. That's why a lot of time when there is an India-Pakistan thing and people around covering a game, and then they want us to, as journalists, be rude to Pakistani players, and I often say I will not do it, because I respect anyone who has gone through the tough rigmarole and reached international level cricket. I have respect, highest respect for any player. Anyone who plays professional sport has had to go through a very tough road of hard work, sacrifices, to reach that level. So I respect all sports people. And in that sense, now, rather than me laughing at which is an easy thing to do, but I'm actually feeling sad because the players don't deserve it.
I have
None
one
of them.
thing to say as well. I think this is rather obscene of the board to be doing this. It's an obscene penalty. Just think about somebody like a Sahibzada Farhan.
No, but I'm saying even he just because he's performed, anybody.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying any player who goes to play wants to underperform. He enjoys it.
Nobody wants to do that. I'm just saying. Okay, even if you're doing that.
In fact, that'll be worse, Harshit. That Sahibzada, then it'll
You won't get fined.
Your remuneration will depend on how many runs you get. So like you go stand there for your dihadi, like those daily wage workers, they go to the munshi who gives the money. He says how many hours you work, based on those many hours, this is your thing. No, that is even worse.
My point is that even somebody like a Sahibzada Farhan, I'm not saying that this way of penalizing the team is right. I'm just saying for somebody who's performed, it's team sport after all. He's probably going to be the record holder for the number of runs that he scored after 6 matches.
He is already a record holder.
Exactly. Yeah. So after Super A stage, somebody's just broken records. He's gone past a Virat Kohli. He's done all of that, and you're asking him to pay a fine on top of that. talk about motivating players. This is how it works then in Pakistan cricket. I'm not saying this is the way to go, but of course players will anyway be paying for it, not literally by virtue of paying a fine, but by virtue of losing out on the place. Can a dismal campaign like this have a Babar Azam or some of the other players as well retain this? What this is the kind of cost you pay as an athlete. You give up on your place. You don't want to, but yeah, this is what happens, right? You put on the chopping block. That's life of an athlete. Sure enough, from this disastrous campaign, people will end up losing the pro, and that is the cost that they pay. Perhaps it will reflect in their central contracts. Perhaps it will reflect in their endorsements, and so many other ways as well. It will obviously mean giving up on so much of international cricket as well, which is priceless for any top tier athlete. Now that is acceptable, right? If you put on the chopping block, but you are asking them to pay a fine and all. That's not done. That's not done.
Absolutely.
It's a case of like the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. So you've been overlords and given them, saying that okay, we'll.
But you know, Ashin, on that, let it not all, it's not a favor that any board is doing.
Exactly. You're
By
paying them to
giving
do their job.
Yeah, they've earned their right to play.
Exactly. And if there's that much revenue that is generated, then players deserve a lion's share of it, or not at least a lion's share, at least their fair share of it. Now you're saying, oh, they've not performed, we're going to fine them. What good does that do anyone? You've killed off whatever morale was there. Anyway, they wouldn't have been feeling great about the fact that they lost out on a spot in the semis via technicality. Let's be very fair. They're already feeling this thing, and you've kicked them when they're down. Congrats. Yeah. Great job.
Did anyone say, let's say India got knocked out in 2021 World Cup, round 1, right? And all of us were critical of the Indian team. Fans were too. There have been many disappointments that have come along the way. Okay. Adelaide, you got knocked out in the semi-final in a very one-sided encounter. Anything not making it a final is seen as a bit of a failure. That World Cup, Pakistan played the final as well. Yeah. But I'm saying never has there ever been a thought within the BCCI or by the Indian government or by Indian fans to ever penalize the player. The worst criticism that comes is drop kar do. Yeah, his time is up. You know, he is
which is a way of penalizing.
Which is fine.
Which is acceptable.
Which is fine. And at worst, people, they only like the old fuddy-duddy uncles would, at one worst case scenario, would say, yeah, these players are spoiled. How much money they get in IPL, it spoiled them. That's the only criticism. But no one said, fine them and take that money away. And by the way, you are fining the players. Is it only the players? What about the person who's fining it, Mohsin Naqvi? He held the team hostage. They didn't even know whether they'll play India or not. You put pressure on them. You go to practice sessions and, you know, have conversations with them, add more pressure. You land up in Colombo and ask the team. And I know that some members of the team had dinner plans they were supposed to go. They were all told, cancel your plans. Mr. Naqvi wants to meet you. They all had to go and do salam in front of Mr. Naqvi and meet him. So how about the pressure that he's putting? Is he making everything available to the team to perform at the optimal level? By the way, the core reason why Pakistan cricket has had a downfall is because their structure is flawed. If you listen to their former players, why is it that Pakistan is not producing? One, the economy is in the doldrums. That is also for which the government is responsible, of which Mr. Mohsin Naqvi is part of it. Secondly, the cricketing infrastructure has gone down. I used to hear that, you know, the bank level cricket used to be top notch. All these top bowlers would come, you know, they would have bank competition which would give you employment, and that level of cricket would happen. I believe the domestic structure is in shambles.
Is shambolic.
Absolutely. So who's responsible for that? You're blaming the player, but you're not looking at the larger people. The people who are fining them are the ones who are responsible for Pakistan's economy as well as their state of their domestic cricket, and you're fining the players.
And it's not just the Mohsin Naqvi. What about successive ex-PCB chiefs who've come, not done anything for the sport, made it worse? Yeah. It's a structural issue. The talent that they are producing is a result of the flawed structure that they have. Simple as that.
I can't remember in the last 10 to 15 years one PCB management that got plaudits and praise from retired cricketers of their own board, of their own team. Nobody has ever had a nice thing or two to say. You've had several hats change. You've had several new incumbents. But has there been praise for any single entity or any material change that we've seen? You've not seen anything. It's the same game being played all over again, that of blame. The blame game.
So the person who robbed the trophy Cho, is the one who's fining them.
Oh, since his name has come up, is this a way of funding the hockey team? Because I remember he'd put his hand up wanting to be...
Again, I actually
helping
felt
out.
bad for the hockey players as well. Because I say I always respect sports people on the number of sacrifices they made. And when we saw that story, we covered it on Sports Today as well, primarily because of any international players, they were washing their dishes and doing their clothes.
They were cleaning
made to
their own
Made to
washrooms.
sit out. They didn't have a hotel room for hours.
Cleaning
They had
their
to
own
sit out.
washrooms.
Yeah. So
How sickening does it get?
yeah, but Mr. Mohsin Naqvi travelled to Sri Lanka in his private jet.
Convoy.
But and those who will pay the cost of that?
Taxpayers.
This no fine saved. This fine which we had to give will be now fine which will go into the private jet that helped him fly from Pakistan and land in Sri Lanka.
Shameful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're only ruining it further. And I have to say that I really feel for the players. No international player deserve this.
Yeah.
It's not like they're going out there with the intention to underperform. If this is the best you've got and that's where you're reaching, then you need to take a good hard look inside and say, what are we doing that we are not able to have a consistent stream of talent? Maybe we're the problem. No, it's the players. Too easy. Too easy a target.
Maybe Shoaib Akhtar was right in his criticism, though he's now done a U-turn.
U-turn is made.
You turn again.
He had said about the management and then made a U-turn.
Illiterate person. Is that he called him?
And now he's saying it's very good.
Nicest man.
The problem is the people around him are bad.
Sure. Sure. I believe you.
They say Chandigarh is the most planned city, well-planned city. Lot of roundabouts. Everything's well planned. Pakistan, too many U-turns or what?
Yes.
Not too far away, but everyone's.
I've
just
been there, so
Did you notice too many U-turns?
same.
Then what comes into how is it an ingrained trait then that everyone's just making U-turns?
Big fans of surrenders.
I guess. Okay, anyway, let's get down to business. As we said, and then there were 4. We know the 4 teams that they are.
There were 4 here yesterday as well.
So, by the way, there is only
Teams.
there is only one team that is undefeated so far.
South
That is
Africa.
South Africa.
Proteas.
Every other teams had to suffer a setback sometime or the other,
Or 2 in some cases.
or 2. That's correct. In the
New
case
Zealand.
of New Zealand,
They lost 1 in the group stage and then 1 in the Super 8s.
yeah.
In fact, they had a no result also to just make that even further.
Well,
but
all
that was
results.
rain.
Yeah.
So
They've had all results.
they had nothing to do with it. Rain, that Pakistan game got
Yeah.
washed out.
Correct.
You're right. So in terms of absolute results in this tournament, South Africa is number 1, followed closely with a tight position of England and India, both having lost 1 game. The only bragging rights that India can take is that England lost to West Indies, the team that India beat. So in that sense, maybe India goes second in terms of results that have happened. England then can say no, but we finished top of our table in Super 8, you finished second. So that's a very close tie between England and India in terms of performances so far. And of course, the 4th spot then goes to New Zealand in terms of results, having lost 2 games.
And both to
And-
strong opposition. I mean,
Yes, and you never know. Dasun Shanaka didn't come to the party, and Pakistan would have made it, and they wouldn't have had the fine, and New Zealand would have missed out. That's how close it really boiled down to. So in terms of results, that's what it looks like. But it's never about these results. Nobody would know that better than Indian fans. 2023 World Cup, we didn't lose any match.
Until-
The only match we lost was the final. So can happen to us, South Africa as well. Don't lose anything, but final is the match that you lose. So those things don't matter, but just give us an indication as to which team is looking strong at the moment or not. So let's briefly, we'll do a detailed previews of every match, but briefly we're going to look at each team. Let's start with India. We won't touch upon it because we do it all the time. England, weakness.
a lack of consistency from any of their players. That's their biggest weakness, because on paper you look at this team and you're like, ooh, they are a very good team. Got good bench options as well. It speaks to the kind of depth that they have, that they chose to only bring on Rehan Ahmed in their last game. He's been out, and he's someone who gives you a batting and bowling option. They've got a Dugout on the bench. His form is dipped a bit, but he's a quality operator. So that's your bench strength that you can have. There's a good squad there. The problem has been their inconsistencies, and they've too often than not just eked out results by the skin of their teeth. They required a super final over from Sam Curran to deny them a loss or to deny Nepal a loss. There was that match which was close.
Yeah.
There was the match against Italy where it looked like at one point Italy may very well have been in the chase. And that's Italy we're talking about. Then after that, they had that game even against Pakistan where it felt less like England were beating them and more like Harry Brook beat them. Because no one else contributed with the bat. It was all Harry Brook. Against New Zealand, okay, you could say comfortable victory. And even against Sri Lanka, because Sri Lanka, they ran through as far as the spinners are concerned. Over-dependence on one particular player, Will Jacks, was again the man of the match in the last game. It's all been down to that one player. Also, their bowling at times can look a bit suspect. That's their other major weakness. The strength, though, is that they've somehow managed to get results. Again, if you look at some of those matches, you're like, could have gone either way, could have gone either way. But they managed to get results. Only game they lost, West Indies, who ironically are no longer in the tournament.
No, I remember saying this a few days back, that England story and India story to me look a little similar. In the sense that individual brilliance has been the hallmark of the campaign. You haven't seen complete performances, as you could say, for, let's say, South Africa, the team with the unblemished record right now. With England, if it wasn't for a Sam Curran, you would have lost the first match against Nepal. If it wasn't for a Will Jacks, you wouldn't have lost you wouldn't have won the match against Sri Lanka and the one against New Zealand the other day as well.
Even the match against Italy, he got wickets, yeah.
Exactly. So it's their campaign has been defined by individual brilliances, and if there is one glaring problem that I see with the England team, I think it's runs at the top.
Yeah.
Runs at the top have eluded this team.
You were talking about them being similar to India, right? They've had two underperforming openers. Phil Salt has had maybe one good game.
One good game.
Josh Butler hasn't even had one good game.
Yeah.
So that's why I think, to me, England looks like the weakest team. And I'm saying this despite the fact that New Zealand have lost 2 matches. And I'll tell you why. I think that they've lacked the firepower that some other teams have shown with the batting, with the exception of that one Italy game where they breached the 200-run mark. Most of the time, they have kind of underperformed. And the bowling's also not really stood out to scare the opposition. Will Jacks has been their best performer so far. So I don't think they have those weapons that will send shiver down the spine of most teams. And their batting, as I said, has been woefully out of form. One guy stepping them on a different occasion is been helping them go through. So to me, it looks like the weakest team so far. And it's primarily down... See, we are talking about a scenario where India is even thinking of replacing an Abhishek who's still got one decent outing in this tournament, right? But you still have an option where you can put him out and bring a Rinku and still be okay, or probably even strengthen your team, right? England, on the other hand, Josh Butler has been like 5 times worse than Abhishek in this tournament with the bat, but they have no other option and they'd rather stay with a Josh Butler. What it's telling me, that there is a difference in the bench strength, difference in the quality that is available. So they're just hoping that he will come good someday. Whereas India can hope that Abhishek can come good, and he's shown a sign in one game, or even look beyond it. So if I just look at overall all teams, and even New Zealand, as I said, kind of, I've lost 2 games, but I still think have better batting openers, good starts. Darryl Mitchell has been out of form, so that glue in the...
Isn't even his
but he needed to do the job of an anchor, which he can do well, which he's also not doing. So suddenly, it's as if he can't score runs. Here he was in India where just couldn't stop scoring
runs, and again you were reminded of his 2020
But again,
campaign.
this thing, ODIs.
ODI.
Plus bowling, like New Zealand's bowling, with a Lockie Ferguson, with a
Matt Henry,
Henry and Santner, who
knows,
went for
Jameson as
runs.
well they play.
But I still think Rachin Ravindra, the bowler, I
Okay.
think they still have good enough weapons who are in
Glenn
form
Phillips,
that
don't
can-
forget. That's been
They-
good.
they-
Phillips
they
as well.
Sort of surprised me. I remember 3 weeks back when we were doing build up etc. to the tournament, and since that 5-match series had just ended, I still felt that this was a more ODI side than a T20 side. I must say, New Zealand has pleasantly surprised me a bit. Some of those names that we just discussed as well, again, Ravindra, we've seen him be suspect in the shortest format. Darryl Mitchell's not come good. Glenn Phillips comes with a lot of aura, I would say, comes with a lot of presence and weight. It's not always translated to things with the bat and ball. In the field, always he will give you something, but he got smacked the other day with the ball, as we saw as well. So point being that yes, while New Zealand have managed to come till here, I would perhaps still feel, since you placed England at number 4 in
For
terms
me,
of
they are
the-
number 4.
I think New Zealand still remain number 4 for me, because I still feel this is more of a ODI side.
Okay, let's do a 3 and 4. Who do you think in terms of the pecking order? Who are your 3 and 4?
My 4 is New Zealand, number 3 is England for me.
Okay, my 4 is
England.
England and 3 is New Zealand.
Same. I think it's not by much, but the difference with New Zealand is that there have been different players who've shown enough on given days. Like we kept talking about how bad their opening looked, but see how much better it looks with Allen and Seifert. Marked difference to opening with Conway and Ravindra, who are ODI players as openers. That's looked better. Their middle order, the likes of Chapman, Glenn Phillips, even Santner when he's come up to
McConkey
bat.
as well.
Colin McConkey has done well. Even the likes of Rachin has stepped up. As a number 3, he's actually been much better than he has been an opener. Glenn Phillips has had a couple of cameos there as well. So they've looked much better. Their bowling also, I'd say, is far more rounded right now than what England's is. Jofra has struggled at times. Adil Rashid has struggled at times. Liam Dawson's probably been their most consistent bowler, along with Jamie Overton, which in itself tells you everything you need to know.
Okay, so now to the $1 million question. Who is the title favorite at
1
this
and 2
moment?
were left with them.
I mean, so when you tell me the 1, I'll know the 2. We already run 3 and 4. Who is the title favorite for you?
For me, number 1 is the number 2 from last World Cup.
South Africa. Why?
Again, nothing to do with the fact that they have an unblemished record till now, but if you look at all their games, slow starters, I won't say the first 2 games for them they would have been extremely happy with. Those were like 7 on 10 performances, but from 7 on 10 they've really made it 9 on 10, or even against India I would say that was a very good 10 on 10 performance where they dominated the home team.
West Indies.
Won by
Pummeled the West Indies.
Yeah, the West Indies as well, complete hammering. I think they're
Zimbabwe with a reserve team.
Exactly.
Yeah. So too many things going right for them. They don't just have the momentum with them, which in ICC competitions holds you in good stead, but I think from a structure point of view as well, you need powerful opening pair. They've got that. You need somebody who can play with sensibility in the middle order. They've got that as well. You need somebody to play with sensibility and have the ability to accelerate. They've got that as well in a couple of players. Very good guys in the bowling department. Smart spinners. Not huge turners of the ball. Very smart spinners though they've got. And the overall outlook of the team, I wish I could have talked with such great praise about the Indian team, but I think there is a gap that I see between India and South Africa right now. They're really looking like a well-rounded team to me.
Yeah, if you had asked me this question before the tournament, India number 1, hands down, South Africa number 2.
I had asked you this question and everyone picked India.
Yeah, but now considering the kind of form they've shown, the consistency they've shown, I'll have to invert that order too. South Africa have just been phenomenal.
Title favorites. For you.
Yes, title favourites for me because again, they're firing on all cylinders. There's not a problem within that side. Openers, tick. Middle order, tick. Lower order, tick. Bowlers, tick. There is nothing. Even within the bowlers, if you're going to have to segregate, the all-rounders have chipped in, the spinners have chipped in, the pacers have chipped in. I have no complaints. I will nitpick and say that their one major problem is that they don't have a wrist spinner, but they work their way around that problem too. So it doesn't even matter.
Their bowling spearhead at the start of the tournament was supposed to be Rabada. At the moment, we're talking about Lungisani and Ngidi looking like a new age version of Sean Pollock right now. That's how good Lungisani and Ngidi has been. Let's be honest. Man's talking about variations.
It's looking like $1 million.
Absolutely. So really, if we are put in a situation where Jasprit Bumrah was to have a campaign as, let's say, bad as a Rabada is, or not an ideal, as if the spirit is not leading by example, could we have had that confidence, or are we getting that sort of vibe from an Arshdeep right now? You're not. There is a marked difference.
Was good last game.
He's good last game, but he's been expensive as well on a few occasions. I'm just talking about players stepping up. Number 2 stepping up. Siraj, had he been there and Bumrah not performed, we've seen Test cricket what happens when Bumrah is not there. But you don't know what you'll get out of Siraj. But there's a gap.
Okay, before I give my prediction, I've got Mr. Vicky Lalwani, who's a renowned journalist, watches our shows very often. So he sent me a message. He has picked his. So he's saying it'll be a South Africa-England final. So
Those are his 1 and 2.
So his 1 and 2 now, he's picked a South Africa England final, he feels. But because he's mentioned it, that also reminds me that that interview is up on Sports Today. You can check it out. Mr. Gavaskar has also picked England and South Africa as his 2 title favorites. There's no India there, and there is no New Zealand there. So his top 2 is quite similar to what Vicky Lalwani is saying. That those are his 2 title favorites. Coming to my title favorite, I think I also see a South Africa-India final. It's going to be a repeat of last World Cup. But right now, I am in agreement with you guys. I'll have to put South Africa ahead. One, they've already beaten India, the only team that's beaten them. And it's not just India. It's not just a one-off game. As they've shown throughout this tournament, they've been better than any team that they've come up against. And it's not a matter of chance that that's happened. I have to give credit to Shukri Conrad and their backroom staff. They've been top notch in planning for each team, absolutely top notch. So I think that's something that they bring to this table. They've really changed from that WTC win. They're for different situations. They've been in tough situations. They've figured out ways to come out. Earlier they used to be in good situation and somehow find a soup to land in. And now it's exactly the opposite, where even when they're in tough situation, they find a way out, and they're doing it consistently. So for me, I think looking at the individual performance of each team, I think South Africa are title favorites, but I'll say marginally. I don't think India will make the mistakes that they made versus South Africa in that one game. I think they got a rude shock. They realized that the opposition had come prepared. Now you have the option of fixing those things. Some of those things you've already fixed in terms of who opens, what you do with a right-hander coming in, you already have. And sixth bowler, you're not going to. So certain areas you fix. So I think this Indian team, if they do come up against South Africa, will be a different kettle of fish. And it won't be as straightforward as what we saw in that previous India-South Africa game. Having said that, you can't ignore the fact that South Africa have been the best team. So for me as well, they are the title favorites. We'll go to a few comments.
You spoke about how well they came planned against India. We're all cricket nuts here. We've probably seen that. It's been put by the ICC. None of my analysis here. But for the unversed, maybe worth pointing out how well they'd come prepared against India. That Abhishek Sharma dismissal, so very well and meticulously planned. You don't often see in the power play there be 2 fielders on the same side. You'll see one on the off, one on the leg. With him, though, I remember I was inside the stadium and I couldn't make head or tail of that either. But courtesy this analysis, then it sort of made sense. While there was a deep backward point and there was a deep cover, he gets caught on the leg side. Why? Because he realized that Abhishek's got to be scoring then runs on the leg side. And that is something South Africans knew because they planted 2 fielders on the offside. But Ngidi, while he was bowling to him in one channel, tempting him to play on the offside, there's one that he bowled to the body, knowing that he's got to be now trying and scoring runs on the leg side, especially over the mid-wicket area. He just takes his length back, bowls it in the channel, which gives him enough time to pull the ball on the leg side, gets a top edge and gets caught in the infield. That's how well they planned.
Many will say you don't really need a plan to dismiss Abhishek.
Not right now. Bowl the ball to bowl Abhishek.
But that apart, okay. We've got Ashish Dhar. He says, feel Jasprit Bumrah will fire.
No, he feels Josh Butler.
Josh Butler. JB, though I thought Jasprit Bumrah. Oh. Now, for England. So Josh Butler will fire for England in semis. Quite possible. He's due.
Ashish or is it Chalu sending us this comment?
And he says JB should get rid of...
Jasprit Bumrah should get rid of him myself.
JB should get rid of JB. If England
that's some next level
toss,
coding.
How much buffer in final score India will require to ensure no loss? If England bat first, it'll depend. In Wankhede, again, I think keep them below 200 and you'll fancy yourself. If you come up with a good pitch, and I hope they come up with a good pitch like they came up in Kolkata, give a red soil pitch for all I care. It'll be nice. Good bounce. Your spinners will also come into the game, especially Varun. He enjoys that. And your fast bowlers do well anyway. And that will be good for batting. See, right now, man to man, your batting is better than England. So go on a flat track. Outscore them.
And considering how good their part-time spinners have been, do not even think of giving them a pitch which turns.
Yeah, exactly.
Will Jacks, I mean, last game I was looking.
Even Adil Rashid.
Adil has been phenomenal. Sometimes he's bowling the ball and it feels like Usman Tariq's pause. You're waiting for the ball to come.
Correct.
Yeah, because he's really mastered the slower one.
It's slow, yeah.
His 70 odd clicks.
Yes.
I'm like, what?
70 odd, and that one's turning viciously.
And turns a lot.
Yeah. So if you give them spinning tracks, the last game they had was against New Zealand. 6 wickets were taken by spinners. 2 each, Rehan, Adil, Will Jacks. Do not give them a turning track. I beg.
Yeah.
Because they've also got a Liam Dawson who can turn the ball. So
Completely agree.
don't go there. Vaishak says, Sanju, 2 more good innings plus the World Cup means next India T20 captain. Oh, we've reached
Vishal,
there.
I think we gotta hold our horses.
Hold our
Let's take it
horses, yeah.
slowly, steadily. He's played a phenomenal inning. So I have a feeling that they may not go to Sanju. They might go to a younger cap.
Shubman.
First IPL franchise, he should become captain. He's had to switch sides because
And then not be captain.
captaincy was not on the anvil.
Yeah.
This one Nikhil will have to.
Can you get Ruturaj to come and be captain if he has a good IPL? No, you
First he has to
some
have a
slots
first.
will
He,
open up.
yeah,
first
he
he has
needs
to,
to
he has to
have
go.
a-
Bro. Good. Never mind that.
He
First he has to stay fit.
He has to have 14 games.
Bare minimum.
There'll be lots of options as well.
Shreyas.
Why not Bapu?
Shreyas
Bapu is
Iyer.
your vice
Babu's
captain.
Vice captain. And
But
captain
vice
of-
captain we know in India is a poison chalice.
He's your Delhi Capitals captain. If he takes them to a title,
He's
Then
your-
sure.
why? How come? Where does he come from? Whether your existing IPL captain in Akshar Rajat Patidar, where does he come from? First, he needs to score runs. Na?
Oh,
Come
he
into
did
the
score
team.
runs, but he first used to be in the team. He was good last year, but again, number 3, 4, where are you getting him in?
So
Shreyas.
first you have to look at captain.
Shreyas,
Akshar will
yeah.
also. Shreyas Iyer. There are many options. Steve Ticolo.
For you.
Okay. Cutting money is like Nick Sir cutting Sidvi's salary for not taking airports. Then per performance, I should also cut PCB money as Park didn't play semi. I agree with you, but the other thing is I do not have the power to cut his salary.
Contrary to
But
popular
all I
belief.
can do is yell at him and remind him that airports are needed. And from now, he is going to be mindful of that fact.
Now he doesn't listen to anything without earpods.
Now, normally also he'll be like with the airport. If you call him also, he'll be with the airports. But yeah, to your point, you're right. I think we pointed that out.
Yeah.
You should find PCB if anything. By the way, it also doesn't surprise me now that we're talking about it. I don't know if you heard that. In 2009, when they won the T20 World Cup,
I remember
Saeed
that
Ajmal.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were promised money.
this much
Yeah,
money.
yeah,
they
they
were
were-
given checks.
And it
Those
bounced.
checks bounce.
Bounce.
The Pakistan government had announced a cash prize
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
Pakistan team which won the T20 World Cup. They all got checks in a ceremony. Photo ops happened. When they went to encash that check, they all bounced. Government given checks bounced.
Imagine.
Imagine.
So, in that way. But at least there, they could say, okay, fine, you promised us extra money we haven't got. Here, you're taking away money.
Money which they rightfully earned.
Yeah.
Terrible. Terrible.
Yeah.
Sameet Khan, Ashish Dhar says, regards to my first comment, buffer score if England bowl first.
Okay.
I think, again, then India need to get about 220 and you're
Safe.
fine.
Yeah, safety net.
I think, yeah.
Because Wankhede is always usually a belter
Yeah.
in T20
And
cricket.
a 220 in a big game is very tough to chase.
Yeah,
No matter
exactly.
however better. And if you can't defend 220, then you
You
might
don't
as well,
deserve to be in the tournament.
Back up.
Yeah.
True. True.
Sameet Khan then says, Protea fan here, dreading the game 8-9 implosion. The India in 2023.
Oh.
Yeah.
Rakesh Bhushan says, Nikhil, let's be honest, India had 2 tough matches with South Africa and West Indies. Others were pure walkovers, barring USA who gave tough fights. How many Indian players perform well in these matches? India has to pull up their sleeves in 2
No,
matches.
I agree, but as my point is that I think every team in that sense has an issue or two. Everyone, we've just discussed.
Yeah, there's no
including
team
New
which is
Zealand.
perfect.
Yeah, you can't be, so there will always be loopholes. How can you get a perfect performance? And I'm happy that there's no perfect performance. The last time you were absolute perfect was 2023 World Cup.
So
We all
that
know what
ended.
happened. Yeah. So there needs to be, and it's good that with those flaws you were still winning. And I think you've tried to plug those gaps. You have tried to, genuinely. And those changes are indicative of that. I think the one now gap is Abhishek and his bit low in confidence. We suggested what can be done. Plug that as well.
Rinku in, promote
Yeah, you
Ishan.
can.
You can't take Abhishek out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ashish Dhar said, had West Indies beaten South Africa, overs needed for India to chase 195? I don't want to think about it anymore.
Yeah. It's done.
Yeah. Because even now, then, I mean, if South Africa had even lost to Zimbabwe, they'd still finish on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's how good their net run rate.
True. Rakesh Bhushan, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Says Nikhil, yesterday Sanju was taking initiative. Why didn't Abhishek utilize this to calm his nerves? Does Abhishek play on his ego that he has to score big and fast? Why can't he play second fiddle?
No, good point. He can, but I think that may not be best suited to his game.
And I think the team has also told him that, listen, please go for it.
Yeah,
Come what
because
may.
if you remember when Sanju was asked in that game where he kind of shielded him and we discussed and Abhishek got those runs. So he said, Abhishek was asking me, Paji, kuch ball kar raha hai wo? So I told him, chhod tu chala, bat ghuma. Sanju said that I told him that. So even his thing was, you don't worry about what the ball is in, go for your shots.
It reminds me of the legendary advice that Umesh Yadav gave Rinku Singh when he was hitting those 5-6s against Yash Dayal. Someone asked him, he said, "Aapne kya bola?" He's saying, "Maine bas bola, Rinku, marte rahe." As if he had another choice. They needed 28 runs in the last over. What is he going to do?
देख ले ball हिल तो नहीं रही.
The only thing that got shaken was Yash Dayal's confidence.
This is Naveen Narayan from
Abu Dhabi, actually.
Abu Dhabi or Dubai?
Yeah.
Or anyone. I'm not going to say the Middle East. You know why?
No, that's a very,
Colonial term.
yeah, colonial term, all encompassing. It's like saying the West Indies. Where?
No, so I saw this one lady, it was in a discussion, I don't know if you've seen it, and then somebody said Middle East, and said, I want to hold you there. Don't call it the Middle East. So why? I said, the colonial term, because it was all in relation to, because British colonies, all in relation to UK. So India was Far East. This is Middle East. Things like that. So you don't say Far West for Chicago or whatever. So not Middle East. So I said, okay, what should we say? Say Middle Asia or something like that. Somebody said, should I say the Arab world? No. Say, oh no, so you talk about Egypt. So, so I said, say North Africa.
Egypt is technically African.
Say North Africa. Say it like that. This Middle East, this colonial term.
No umbrella term.
So anyway, Naveen Narayan, I'm guessing, he's saying, Nick sir, South Africa has not been challenged. Temperament will be tested when a match gets close and needs calm heads. If not India, I want a first time winner. Ooh, it's a good one. But I think South Africa have been challenged. They have been. And
Afghanistan.
Super over, yaar.
Yeah.
Double super over.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I think what that Afghanistan game told you as well, that if Afghanistan had got their things tactically right, they would have beaten Sri Lanka, which it tells you that
is not
beaten South Africa.
Too bad.
I mean, South Africa can be beaten. So India game is pressure game, playing the host, and it's the first game you know fully well. See how much pressure India came under once you lost the first game. South Africa would have been under same pressure. So obviously you knew that game was a big game.
Correct. AJ17 says, if Varun goes for 40-45 runs in the semi also, will you play Kuldeep in the final ahead of Varun, as Varun has not been that effective from the South Africa game?
It's a good question. I've been thinking about it, but I have a feeling now you've reached that territory where you're not going to make
Also, if you have to drop him, then drop him for the semi. Don't say the case of that you can play one more game in the semi, and then if you squeak by, we drop you in the final.
Too big a risk.
Exactly.
Too big a risk right now to drop him after.
You can't.
I know 2 games haven't been ideal, but
it sort of feels like, that territory there's no coming back from.
You're not going to do it. Yeah.
But again, then the question is, if you can do that for Abhishek, why not?
But we're advocating dropping Abhishek because his form has been poor throughout.
Yeah, and because you see that there can still be better 11 that you can make.
Exactly. What do you do? Because there was not too long ago, people were questioning Kuldeep has lost his confidence.
Yeah,
also.
the ODI series against New Zealand, he was getting hammered.
What if that happens? It's not 100% guarantee.
Yeah, he had one match in this World Cup which came in very spin-friendly conditions. Is there a guarantee that he can then repeat that
and against an opposition that he's always done well. Pakistan.
Yeah, he's had the wood over them. Yes.
Yeah. In fact, for that match, I remember when we did all our previews, I kept saying you have to play Kuldeep here because of the conditions and
just
and his record.
Yeah.
Machli ki aankh says, what about Gigi's statement on Rohit and Kohli? Why so salty? What did he say?
I don't know.
Sorry, I really have to ask. What did he say?
I don't think he said anything yesterday.
No, yes, and there wouldn't have been any questions about him either.
Yeah, in Australia he did. Not after that.
And even there it wasn't...
that, if you talk about the Australia statement, we discussed it a lot.
In length.
Multiple times.
But just anyway, check it if something has been spoken recently. Dhanush says that in Super 8, Kuldeep 2024 better than Varun 2026.
True. Kuldeep of 24 was operating on different terrain. That I agree.
Yeah.
But those pitches are also very
Those
different.
are turgid pitches. Give Varun those pitches, then he'll also be operating in the same manner.
Yeah, let's take this one. I think it's Rakesh Bhushan.
Yeah.
Makes a very interesting observation. Correct as well. He says that, Nikhil, I've read that one journalist asked Satanshu that death of Rinku's father had been a blessing in disguise. If that was a blessing in disguise, and
Yeah,
think that was the
I've
question.
heard. Yeah.
If this is correct, Nikhil, then few journals from your tribe are maligning this profession. How sick is this? He's very disappointed, and of course, he's right that because I read about it, that question was asked. Terrible.
I agree. This is true. This question was asked, and I agree. I agree that he's maligning the profession. He's generally maligning the
Just
sport.
It goes against the basic tenets
Should be
of
pulled
humanity,
up.
yaar.
Yeah, should be pulled up for this completely.
Yeah,
agree. I know that this was spoken. I did read about it too.
Yeah.
Rather sad.
So apparently I did some Googling that there was a question about Shivam Dubey's contribution in the win. And what Gambhir said was that, look, for too many years, we've only spoken about 1-2 players contributing. This is a team sport and will always remain a team sport. So people have interpreted that as a dig. But I don't think that seems like a dig.
But to be fair to Gautam, he's been consistent with this stance.
Yeah.
Even while as a player, he would.
एक छक्के ने वर्ल्ड कप नहीं जीता. In fact,
Yeah.
it wasn't 1-6.
We've seen 297 scores, by the way, this tournament.
Okay, connect to Karthik.
Yeah, by the way, just one thing. This question thing about which was asked to Sitanshu, whoever that journal is, boss, please revoke his accurate. Terrible
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
How can you be asking that about someone
Yeah.
losing their father for crying out loud? Blessing in disguise? I mean, really?
Yeah, no, I think what he tried to say that.
They tweak the team combination, but come on.
But I also didn't. I mean, just saying factually, I don't think he realizes that he was going to be
Dropped
removed
anyway.
from the team.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with
Terrible.
it. No, doesn't justify the question. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying even factually it's wrong.
Yeah.
Connect to Karthik from the US says Sky from joking about replacing.
Abhishek Sharma and Tilak Verma with Sanju.
Ah.
And to now bowing down. Justice served. Sanju should beat something out of overrated Jofra and Nas while at it. Nas? Who?
And
Who's the...
While at it,
Oh, by the way, you're talking about overrated Jofra. Overrated Jofra was the one who started the questions over Sanju's T20 career. That home series.
yeah.
That
He
home
was
series
bouncing
last
him
year.
out, yeah.
Consistently bouncing him out.
Yeah.
Okay, on that note, we're going to call it an evening. Thank you so much for joining us because we have another
Shoot.
to do. I've already got 2 messages.
Ah.
But plenty more content up on Sports Today. Check that out. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, for another edition of the Dugout. Or we'll do a nice preview to the first semi-final.
And what a semi-final it is.
Yeah. Look forward to your company then. Meanwhile, take care. Bye-bye. Good night. Nandri, Vadakkam,
Shubhratri. Shabak hair. Eat your vegetables.
Don't trouble your mother and subscribe to Sports Today.